my job in the Marine Corps while I was in Iraq and Afghanistan was as a civil affairs Marine, and what they would call a paying agent, dealing with battle damage claims, which would be any situation where somebody had been harmed in some way by our military, and processing that and trying to compensate them for wounds inflicted on them, being shot, having animals killed, having their livestock killed, having their door kicked in, any number of things that the military does either through malice or carelessness that inflicted harm on civilians' lives. Every day, by ones and twos, people being injured or killed. And what this would look like a lot of times would be what we call the escalation of force, or an EOF incident. This would be somebody driving, we're on a patrol and a car drives up to us just a little too fast, and we try to warn them, and we're expected to go through this escalation of procedures to warn them that we're going to shoot them. One of the early ideas people had was to launch what we called a training practice grenade, this 40 millimeter 1 pound hunk of lead, that inside of it was a little puff of orange powder. And we might shoot that at the hood of their car when they're approaching, and the giant puff that looks like a grenade going off might serve as a warning to them until you don't aim accurately and a 1 pound hunk of lead flies straight through your windshield and into someone's face and kills them. For a long time, we didn't fire warning shots because Marines don't fire warning shots. The Army was using this, and the Marines, for a variety of reasons, had this gung-ho mentality that we don't ever fire a warning shot. But that went by the wayside around 2006, and they decided we should fire a bullet, what's called a tracer, on the ground in front of their car to warn them, or in front of them to warn them. And that worked reasonably well until you have the bullet skip off the ground and hit the driver of the car behind them, who had no idea and wasn't doing anything wrong, and blow his jaw clean off, or almost clean off. It's hanging. He had to come in. He came into us to ask for enough money to go to the hospital. All of those things add up. There's thousands of them, thousands of people, if not killed, then maimed, because of these escalation of force incidents. And some of them, they certainly seemed necessary to the person doing it. And me being one of the people who did shoot at a car that was approaching us too quickly, and wound 2 people. And I never got to see the inside of the car, but I understand there was a 3rd person in there that did not survive. And for a long time, I blamed that person for being the driver, for being so careless, for not recognizing the imminent danger that there was on the highway he probably drove down every day of his life before this without incident. Not seeing the camouflage brown truck sitting on the side of the road, and not screeching to a halt because I waved at him once and then started shooting. It wasn't that in the back of my mind I thought, oh, well, they'll get a paycheck at the end. But on the bigger scale, the real gravity of what we were doing, maiming people and injuring people and orphaning children, was it paying the money sort of assuaged the guilt. We thought, well, it's all okay. They got paid $2,500 because their father was killed. That was the cash value of a life. It's also, you decide to shoot the lock on someone's door open. And I've seen this happen myself. The person unfortunately wasn't killed, but they decided to search a mosque, which is generally taboo in Iraq. Well, in any country, but they decided to search it. And as they were going to search it, they were kicking the door open, and then they decided to shoot the lock. And at the moment they shot the lock, the the son of the imam, who was sort of working as a night watchman, was reaching for the door handle to open it rather than have us shoot the door open, and he gets shot in the arm. You know, um, it's that has ripples throughout that community, whether it's occupying the most important person in a village's house for years on end, or blowing it up, or shooting the imam's son in the arm. That level of carelessness that might be enabled in a certain way by this belief that, well, money will fix the problem, ultimately causes more harm. That's what this CERP funding, this money that we have to use as a weapon system does, is it creates moral hazard. It enables people to behave a little bit more carelessly than they otherwise might, because they know that ultimately there's going to be a civil affairs Marine, or they expect that ultimately there's going to be a civil affairs Marine there to pick up the pieces and make it better, and they don't have to worry about the consequences of their actions or think about them beforehand, because somebody else will make it better for them, and they don't have to think about the morality of their own actions, which is really what you should expect a Marine or soldier to do, is think about the morality of their actions.